All right there, everyone. The arrest of Tommy Robinson and the fueling of worldwide populism. That's what we'll be talking about on today's video. You know, I can't recall the last time I received so many requests from our subscribers to address a particular issue of concern as the arrest and imprisonment of Tommy Robinson. For those of you who don't know, just to bring you up to speed here, Tommy is an English conservative activist, a nationalist populist who's been involved in a number of organizations such as the English Defense League. Oh, he was actually the founder of the English Defense League. He's written for Rebel Media along with Lauren Southern. He's a big YouTube and social media personality. We featured Tommy recently on a video that followed his speech at Speaker's Corner in London's Hyde Park a few months back. Well, Tommy was arrested and immediately jailed last Friday after he filmed members of an alleged child grooming rape gang entering a court for trial. He was arrested for what authorities call breach of the peace. How's that for specificity? And it's being reported that he's been sentenced to 13 months in prison. No trial, nothing. It was supposedly for a contempt of court charge. But to add insult to injury, the details are extremely sketchy because the judge involved in the case has slapped a reporting ban on the whole incident. So Fox News and Breitbart are reporting that the gag order has led to news outlets and throughout the UK removing the reporting on Tommy from their websites to comply with the order. And Fox is reporting that news sources are speaking only on the condition of extreme anonymity out of fear that they'll be arrested for contempt. So the whole thing is just insane. And just to make matters even worse, Tommy Robinson's lawyer is warning that the presence of Muslim gang members in prison, it'll all but guarantee his murder behind bars. So this is an extremely distressing case, to say the least. So what should we make of all of this? Well, first, I don't think you have to be a genius here. This is a patently obvious case of the globalist state attempting to silence a very powerful and significantly effective voice of populist opposition and dissent. First we saw the likes of Martin Sellner and Brittany Pettibone and Lauren Southern banned from entering the UK, but then we see a 13-month prison sentence imposed on Tommy Robinson for videoing a bunch of accused Muslim child rapists outside a courtroom. I mean, all this it's rather obviously draconian, to say the least. We're talking more than a year in prison, indeed a possible death sentence, given Tommy's stand against Islamic immigration in the UK. And what we're seeing is nothing short of an autocratic, authoritarian measures to stifle populist dissent, which, by the way, we're seeing in Italy as well. That's for our next video. Now, the British media is being silenced, perhaps all too willingly, and the world is seeing how secular globalism deals with real nationalist populist dissent. So that's the first thing that needs to be said. However, this is the important point I want to make for you today. It's not going to work. Yes, Tommy Robinson's safety, indeed his life, is very concerning. I don't want to minimize that in any way. But what's so important for us to get here is that this arrest and imprisonment is only going to fuel, it's only going to intensify and increase the worldwide populist revolt. And I'll tell you why. In fact, I think it's already happened. What's crucial for us to understand in terms of the dynamics surrounding Tommy's arrest and imprisonment is the role that's being played by what scholars have called a network society. Now, a network society is the name that's being given to a new social order that's arisen in the past couple of decades that, in fact, bypasses the old bureaucratic institutional structures that used to serve as the mediators of communication, and it replaces them with a mass network of immediate digital information. So just for example, think of the ways in which the post office has largely been replaced with email, right? Here in the States, we refer to the old bureaucratic institutional delivery system, the post office snail mail, right? We still use it. We still use the post office, but nowhere near as much as we used to. And this is, of course, because of the rise of email and Skype and texting, and all of which allow us to sort of bypass the old bureaucratic delivery system. And so scholars of the network society, such as Manuel Castells and Jan van Dijk, they basically envisioned a world made up of a future direct democracy utopia that comes from this immediate, instantaneous digital interaction on the internet. And so these scholars are really excited about the social and global possibilities of a network society. They envisioned, just this new world order of direct democracy and globalist-inspired human rights. We're all bound together through these digital, instantaneous telecommunications technologies. And now, what they did not envision was that such a network system would become a platform dominated by the nationalist, populist, and traditionalist right. They did not see that coming. But of course, that is precisely what has happened. The scholarship, for example, of Angela Nagel and others have detailed how the nationalist populist right has dominated formats such as the message board site 4chan and, of course, YouTube. Even the New York Times recently featured a report on what they're calling the intellectual dark web, right? When they see it as a collection of anti-establishment intellectuals such as, well, you know them all, Jordan Peterson, Sam Harris, Ben Shapiro, Joe Rogan, Dave Rubin, who they're all getting subscribers and view totals that overwhelmingly outnumber anything the mainstream media is getting on a regular basis. For example, name me a single university professor that's even coming close to Jordan Peterson's presence on YouTube. I mean, it's not even a contest. But here's the important point. This network society is in many respects the driving force behind the nationalist populist resurgence. And here's the key. It's driving this populist surge on a worldwide level. A whole world of nationalist populist sentiments is being united together on multiple interconnected social media platforms that are sharing information and commentary instantaneously and in effect bypassing the monopoly that secular globalists have over the so-called establishment or mainstream media in the same way that we bypass the post office. And we can see this interconnectivity in the mass worldwide revolt against the arrest and the imprisonment of Tommy Robinson. Remember, populism is fueled by pervasive and deeply held anti-elite sentiment. The globalist world order has long been recognized by scholars as directed and governed by what they call expert systems, which involves a class of elite technocrats and engineers that have the technical competence to maintain the technologies and the automations and telecommunications that comprise a modern industrialized world. So from the building codes embedded in our homes and buildings to the dependability of our automobiles and the safety of our roads and the bridges to air travel, iPhones, whatever, we find ourselves increasingly trusting in and indeed dependent upon a class of technological experts for the management of our daily lives. Now, while we all like our technologies working safely and securely, many have recognized that the danger here is that as more and more people become dependent on technological expertise, technocracies are inevitably ruled by experts and engineers who begin controlling and manipulating their populations in a manner analogous to how they control and manipulate technology. And so today we can see how globalization has reorganized the world around a class of experts who have largely redefined political and economic protocols in the form of basically a de facto world government, replete with its own transnational institutions. The European Union, the European Court of Human Rights, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the G7. And this technocratic globalist elite has, however inadvertently, provoked a mass backlash in the form of nationalist populism that's just been unleashed throughout the world, and there's simply no putting the genie back in the bottle. And this arrest and imprisonment of Tommy Robinson is only confirming and corroborating these populist concerns. They see an elitist state circumventing any and all democratic processes and simply imposing its authoritarian will on a major representative of English populist in descent. And in fact, through the Network Society, Tommy is a major representative of worldwide populism. And look at how the world, interconnected by the Network Society, is responding. On my last check, which was just an hour or so ago, 350,000 people had signed a petition on change.org to release Tommy. You could see on YouTube thousands gathering and protesting in front of the jail or in front of 10 Downing Street, that's Speaker's Corner in Hyde Park. The conservative actor James Woods is tweeting about it here in the States. It's being covered by Alex Jones and virtually every major social media personality in the so-called dark web. There are reports of rallies being held throughout Australia demanding the release of Tommy. Jared Batten, the UKIP member of the European Parliament for London, he's threatened to mount a prosecution to the Home Secretary if Tommy Robinson is killed or injured, holding the Secretary personally responsible for his welfare. And so these draconian measures are already unleashing a mass populist revolt, and I think it will only continue to do so. And that's because such authoritarianism only serves to confirm and corroborate populist sentiments. But this time, thanks to the Network Society, the whole world is watching. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Click on the Patreon link below, become a monthly supporter of this channel, and help us to continue to analyze current events in light of conservative trends so that you can personally and professionally flourish. God bless.